Welcome to the Sensei Playbook, the ultimate how-to podcast for growing and amplifying your brand within the digital world's 3-second landscape. Join Bill Courtwright and Chris Snellgrove as they discuss the right tools and strategies for building the best online marketing strategy for your business. Tune into leading business leaders who share information and impart inspiration on providing smooth customer experience and successfully scaling your venture. This is your chance to achieve rapid growth in the highly competitive online market. Let's get this episode started with your hosts, Bill and Chris.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this week's episode of the Sensei Playbook podcast, the independent dealer marketing strategy to do less and make more. This week's guest, you're in for a treat. We have David Cardella, the CEO of the Colorado Independent Auto Dealer Association, the #1 independent auto dealer association, the benchmark, the pinnacle, the paramount dealership every other association looks to for support and showing the way. We have a special treat. This is none other than this year's recipient of the NIADA Executive of the Year presented at the Accelerate 23 conference. David Cardella is going to be with us for the next 45 minutes. You don't want to miss it.
But everybody nowadays is looking for an experience, right? They want to connect with someone. They just don't want to buy a product. They want to buy you. They want to buy your service. And I preach that to our new dealers because we give, there's only us and our other partner on the Western Slope that teach the pre-licensing class for independent dealers in Colorado. So we have to pass a test out here to be licensed as a salesperson, and to take, if you want to become an independent dealer, you need to take our 8-hour course. And so there's only the two of us, and we hold that class every Wednesday. And I meet every class unless I'm out of town or something's going on. I talk to them I say, this is my 2-minute infomercial that's going to last 30 to 40 minutes. So, sit down and listen and you can kind of engage with them, make it fun. And I tell them, you're not going to be selling cars, you're going to be selling yourself. And you're going to be asking for people to take the money out of their pocket and put it into your pocket because you're going to be providing them a service. Make it fun for them, right? Make it so they want to come back and do business with you. Make it so, hey, you might be selling a person in front of you a car, and their husband or wife or girlfriend or boyfriend that's with them might go, you know what? I want to buy a car too, and make 2 sales out of it. And you got to be prepared. You got to think on your feet, and you got to make it fun. I mean, it's just, this world has got absolutely crazy, and we've taken the fun out of it. We've forgotten about that. We try to get so tied up in the little things that you got to make people relax. Make them laugh, and you'll sell a car. And that's what it's all about.
I couldn't agree more, David. Like when we do training with car dealers, we remind them that when people go to buy a car, it's an exciting time. But as salesmen, we're around the vehicles all the time. So we've got to raise our energy when people come onto the lot to match theirs and to really make it a fun event, because it's an exciting time for people. And the more exciting and more fun you make it, the more referrals you'll get as a result.
Yeah, it's easy to forget the little things. And I remind all my dealers, because we do compliance classes throughout the year too, and bring dealers in and go over different rules and regulations. And I tell them, we have meetings, at least I have, when I ran stores. You'd have a meeting every Friday, right? You'd get them prepared for the weekend, get them pumped up, get them excited. You talk about what you have to do, and you as a salesperson, you'd shake your head. Here we go for the same old stuff again. And I tell them in the meeting, you're right. We talked about this last week, but you forgot about it, didn't you? And we have to remind ourselves, because our job is a very taxing job. It takes a lot out of you. The mental stress, right? I mean, you just got to sometimes just walk out of the dealership, take a walk around the block, clear your head. In the old days, you'd go down to the bar and go have a beer and come back and be ready to go again. I mean, you've got to clear your head, and you got to remember what you're doing is selling an experience. And so you make it fun for the people, make it enjoyable. And, we're all consumers, and we all can tell when somebody's trying to pull the wool over our eyes. And what do? We turn around and we walk out the door. We go down the street and buy it from someone else. And there's too many car dealerships in the state of Colorado or in the state of Florida or in the state of California, whatever. You can go buy another product somewhere else. Online, you get online, you can go buy something. The personal experience is what people want to buy. And that's what you got to sell. So price and product, and people sell cars, right? Price and product, bring them in the door. You got to sell yourself. You got to sell your dealership. You got to sell your reputation. You got to sell your past history. And you got to sell that you're not here just trying to sell them a product. And I tell that even to our vendors that want to do business with us. We have quite a few members in our association database, and we have preferred providers that we promote that want to do business with them. And their number one thing has got to be to help the dealer, not to just sell their product. And that's worked really good for us. We have a pretty strong following in our association.
So David, with that in mind, say a dealer is offering a great, buying experience. What is the best way for them to share that in order to attract more customers to them?
Obviously, the business has changed. I'm a lot older than you guys. It used to be drive traffic, and, you would change your front lot, you put balloons out, flags and whatever, and, you get people who want to stop in. You used to have to put new pieces, and you still have to do that. That hasn't changed. That hasn't gone away. If you're in an area that's a high traffic area, people see action happening. They want to come in and see what it is. Next time they're thinking about buying a car, they're going to remember, hey, I drove by this lot. There's always something going on. I'm going to stop in and see it. But you have to get on the social media nowadays. You got to push. You got to push who you are. We have a dealer here who started. Man, it's got to be 15 years or so ago, and he started with a little office, 2-car garage office. It was that he turned in to the internet, and you walked in and he had TVs up, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And it was in an industrial area off the beaten road. He said, I'm going to sell cars online. I'm going to drive traffic. And he started out with like 30 cars on his lot. You go over there now, he's probably got 1,000. He sells 500 cars a month. He still owns that little two-car garage building. He started it, and he owns the whole block. And then he owns other parcels down the road where he's got his service center and detail shop and stuff like that. And that's thinking outside of the box. If you don't think outside of the box, you're going to be left outside of the box. I mean, you've got to do something to differentiate yourself. You got to take care of your customers. You can't ignore a problem, right? You got to make a problem go away. The easiest way to make a problem go away is to see what's bothering them. How can I fix it? What can I do to take care of you? And does that mean sometimes buying the car back? Yes, it does. That might be the only answer for it, because you don't want to deal with that. Does that mean you pull those reviews down or you try to get them removed? I don't think so, because if all you have is good reviews on there, that means you're hiding something. I don't care how good of a salesperson or how good of a dealer you are, there's going to be somebody that you bent over backwards for that's going to continue to want more and more, and you just got to say, hey, enough's enough. Yeah. I can't do it. And this is the reason, and that you have to answer. You just can't let them sit there. Hey, you got to get on and tell the story. And that is, isn't that really what we do? We're storytellers. When they come in to buy a car, why this car is going to work for them. This is the vehicle that you need, to get you to work or get you to school or to help your business. You got to explain that to them. And if you're upfront with people, they'll walk out going, man, I'm going to send somebody. This is somebody I want to do business. And even if you don't sell them a car, when they're talking with other people that are looking for a car, they're going to say, go to visit this car lot. That's somebody you want to do business with.
I'm glad you mentioned reviews and reputation, because in your opinion and all your experience, how important do you think it is for a dealer to have a good online reputation is today? How important is it?
It's critical, right? I mean, it's critical. I mean, if you have nothing but bad reviews, right, then people kind of know that, hey, this person's just out to sell me a car. If you have mixed reviews and you have, where people are praising you and giving you pats on the back, I mean, that's important to have in there, but you also have to be part of your community. And I think you got to tell a story. You have to be, like I said, we're storytellers. And if you don't tell people who you are and what you're doing and what you can do for them and how you're going to be there for them down the road, it doesn't give them an extra reason to buy a car from you. And that's bottom line. That's all you're there for, is to get the money out of their pocket and into your pocket, sell them a product, make them happy, and make them want to continue to do business with you.
Let me ask you this, David. What led you to this line of work? How did you go from a young man on the north side of Chicago to a car guy by way of Florida and now Colorado?
Well, my father is a car salesman. Or he was a car salesman, God rest his soul. He's up working a lot upstairs now. So, but I grew up in the business. I love cars. He used to take me to the dealership on Saturday. He worked for a Lincoln Mercury store. And I remember going when I was 6 years old, and he'd throw me in the back with the guys in the back. Hey, let him wash the car and keep him out of trouble, whatever. And I grew up with those guys in the back, and I saw how hard they worked, doing all that prepping work and cleaning the cars and making them look good. And as a kid, you get behind the wheel, you go, wow, this is awful cool. And but it's in our blood. My two brothers also sell cars. I have my two sons sell cars. One of them is a general manager of a new car store out here. The other one's a finance director. And I've got three nephews back in Illinois that sell cars, and they run stores. It's a great business. And when we do our pre-licensing class, I mean, I tell that to our students that come in, and I tell them, my name is David Cardella. I am the CEO of the Colorado Independent Automobile Dealers Association. But I'm a proud car salesman. That's who I am. I'm a proud car salesman. This is a great industry. It's a great business. It's an honest business selling a product if you do it the honest way. And there's no shortcuts, right? The only shortcut is to get into trouble, because eventually it's going to come up. I mean, and in this business, and you guys have been around the business for a long time, everybody's got a quicker way to do things. There's no quick way. I mean, when I started in the business, there were like 5 pieces of paper. Now there's like 35 pieces of paper you got to fill out, right? People want to be in and out in a half hour. Okay, right. Okay, well, you're not going to read anything, folks. I can have it all printed here, just sign, which I'm not a big fan of. I think you miss things, but it is part of the day and age. And so you got to accommodate people the way they want to do business. But you need to slow down. You need to dot your I's. You need to cross your T's. Because if you don't, and you do make you miss something, and then you have a problem down the road. Like we have a motor vehicle dealer board that investigates here. We've got a great relationship with them. There's 3 new car dealers that sit on that board, 3 used car dealers, and then 3 people in the public, and they're the ones who look at every case that's brought in front of them. And then we have the motor vehicle board that's made up of the investigators and the executive secretary. And, we talk to them all the time. Hey, what are you seeing? What kind of problems? What can we help you with? We talk to the motor vehicle dealer board, and we talk to the DMV, the Department of Revenue. Hey, you're trying to change some things. Can we have a conversation on what it really takes to sell a car? And most of them have no idea. They're the ones enforcing the stuff, and they have no idea down at the Department of Revenue or the motor vehicle that people are buying cars that there's no titles for yet. We're waiting for the title to come in. It was either on a trade-in or a payoff, or you bought it at the auction, and that dealer hasn't brought the title in. And So you're working through and jumping through hoops, and let's face it, the last couple of years has not made things any easier on getting titles. And so we have good relationships with them. So we try to work through that, meet with them and explain, hey, this is how it's got to go through. Can you help us smooth things over? Can you guys process titles quicker? Because everybody's got in the back of their mind that this dealer maybe isn't doing everything right. And that's only because of reputation. I think there's some great people in this industry that have changed that reputation, tried to change it. But some of the biggest offenders are some of these newer online retailers. They don't deliver all the stuff. Yeah, they're selling across state lines, and what applies to us in Colorado doesn't apply to a retailer down in Texas. And there's different laws when you cross state lines. And so we were pretty instrumental. Our motor vehicle dealer board came to us, and they wanted to even out the playing field. They asked for our support on holding out-of-state dealers to the same kind of standards as the in-state dealers, right? They only want to, even the playing field. The unfortunate thing is they still don't know how they're going to do it because it's interstate cameras, right? I can't stop you from buying a car in Kansas. But guess what? When you come in and you bring it here and you have a problem with it, you got to go back to Kansas and deal with Kansas because that's where you bought the car at. And a lot of people don't understand that. We try to educate people on that, and we try to educate our dealers on that. Hey, you might be selling a car to California, but you're selling it under the state of Colorado laws. And we're a disclosure state. So material particulars, or there's something on a car, hail damage, stuff like that, fixed or not fixed, you got to tell the consumer that. You got to pass that knowledge along. We've got a pretty good buy-in with our dealers.
Let me, on a follow-up to that, David, what led you to the position of CEO and the role that you have as essentially the independent dealer advocate for your state? And how did you come about that leadership role?
Well, in the car business, right, you take the long, winding road to get somewhere, right? So I went from Chicago down to Florida. I had to go warm up and sell some cars. And then I got a job offer out here, and I was like, no way. I left the cold, the ice, the snow, forget about it. And I came up here in '87, and I've been here ever since. It's just a great place to live and raise kids and grow up. And so I worked in the franchise world, started out, managing new car departments and GSM and then I went to the used car side and, fell in love with that. And then in 1997, I said, enough's enough. I got 3 young boys. I got another child on the way. I want to spend time with my family. And I got my wholesale license. And the first thing I did was join my state association. Even though I wasn't a retailer, I knew that we all depend on each other, right? In the car business, you just can't, I don't care how big of a dealer you are, you still need other people to help you be successful. And that's what I used to tell my salespeople when I was training them. You need your fellow salespeople to help you be successful. Learn from them. Watch the person who's selling 20 cars a month. You can't be like them, but if you can pick up something out of them, 1 or 2 ideas to make you better and make it work for you, that's going to make you a better salesman. That's going to make you more money. And so I got my wholesale license, and I was a wholesaler for 27 years. And after about 10 years doing wholesale, I got asked to be on our state board, on our dealer board for the association. And I was on the board for 16 years. And our CEO, Todd O'Connell, a great guy, did a great job. When he retired, he said he was going to retire. I threw my hat in the ring and said, hey, I want to start a new career at 60 years old. I'm going to go to the association because I'd already been doing a lot of the legislation with them. I'd been traveling to NIADA, doing the conventions, going out to Washington, D.C., doing the lobbying. and I liked it. And I was a wholesaler, so I didn't have a store I had to worry about, right? It was me, and I could put in the time. And so when he retired, I gave up my dealer's license, and this is a full-time job. We have now we have 1,187 members, and there's only 1,352 independent dealers in the state of Colorado. So our penetration is the highest in the country for any state dealer association, and we're a full functioning state association. We're here to help you, and we stress that to our members. I've been writing. We do a magazine, and then now magazines are gone away. You're doing the emails, and we do that. And I write, every month I put something in there. And I always tell them, thank you for being a member, and call us. Please call us if you have a question. Call us. And I tell that to in our pre-licensing class. I said, this is the number. Write our number down. If it sounds too good to be true, call us, because it probably is. And when you run into a problem, come down and see us. I just hired my 4th employee for the front office. I've got a great staff. And I'm lucky because this association was founded in 1941, so it's had a good reputation. The dealers in this state have always kind of been a part of it. We've grown it a little bit since I've taken over, but it's because I've got a very good board, people that stay involved. And Colorado's a big state, but with a small town attitude. And people talk among each other, and they tell them, here, you got to belong to the association. You need to be part of it. We keep our dues low. We don't have any giveaways, nothing like, join us and you'll get auction fees and stuff like that, because we want you to buy us for our service. We want you to be able to come down here, buy forms at a discounted price, anything that you need for a car dealer. Look to us for some referrals on people to do business with. And we're here to legislate for you and educate you. And in 13 years, we've been involved in passing 27 bills down at the Capitol. And we do that because we've built a good relationship with both sides of the aisle. And our bills are nonpartisan, right? I mean, you're selling cars. I mean, what is partisan about selling cars, right? Everybody wants it. Just make it easier and better. And that's what we've done. We've passed some very, very good legislation. Earlier this year, we had 2 bills on auto theft. They weren't our bills, but I sit on the task force for the governor for auto theft prevention, and they were rechanging, if you can believe this. Back in 2014, they removed the felony designation from auto theft, right? I mean, anyhow, go figure. So anyhow, until it reached a certain level, it had to be like $35,000. Then it was classified as a felony. They changed that law this year. That got passed, and we also got $5 million in funding for the task force to help fight auto theft, because believe it or not, Colorado had a higher percentage of auto theft than New York or California or Chicago. We were number 1 in the country. We were like 700 per capita auto thefts. And that's because they knew it wasn't a felony anymore. And the access, we're right in the middle of the country. So we've worked very hard on it, got that changed. And auto theft, I'm happy to say, is down 20% so far this year. So still got some work to do, but that's what we try to do for our dealers. Pardon me?
What did they change the law to? Did they drop it from the $35,000 to a lower amount?
Oh yeah, now it's $2,500. You steal a car, and there's not a car that's not worth $2,500 nowadays, right? But the day of the $100 car has gone away, right? That's non-existent.
Yeah.
So, but they're using them. A lot of times people think, oh, they're going to chop shops, and they're not. They're using them for secondary crimes, and they recover a lot of the cars, but then they got drugs, they got meth, and then who wants to get that car back? Because it's like buying a flood car. You don't want to buy a flood car either, right? Because you never know when that electrical system's going to go out. I don't care how good you think you drive that electrical stuff up. So, they're trying to get they're trying to get a handle on it, and which they are. Same thing with catalytic converter theft. We ran a bill 2 years ago that changed it to a precious metal, so it increased that fine, made it a felony. So we've seen that drop too. But criminals are like water; they're going to find a way in.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
I can relate. My fiance's vehicle was just stolen in August, and we're still trying to get it handled. We're still going on. 90 days now, still hasn't been handled. What changes have you seen, David, in technologies that really have impacted the dealerships, the car dealers in your area?
Well, I mean, everybody's gone to online stuff, right? You're competing for inventory. You're competing across the country, right? You go to an auction, and it's not the guy across the lane that you worry about bidding against. It's the 52 people online that are up there looking at the same car.
Wow.
And it's driven the costs up for everybody. But it's part of the business. You've got to learn to adjust. And if there's one thing in this business, if you cannot think on your feet and adjust with the times, you're going to get left behind. So you got to find a way. It still comes down to building relationships. I mean, I don't care. I worked in the franchise stores for a long time, and they all had the mentality that what was happening down in the used car lot, there was something going on. Cars coming in, cars going out. There was something fishy going on, and that can't be further from the truth. I mean, you got to establish relationships with those people that will buy those dealers that want those vehicles for their lot. That's what meets their criteria. And also for people to bring you cars that you can sell, because you can't compete, right? There's guys who have different places to bring you inventory, clean inventory, that if you can get at the right price and it works for your model, and they have a good reputation and stand behind it, that's going to help make your dealership flourish. And that is what we have to be concentrating on. What's going to work for us? What is our, everybody talks about putting set policies in, right? And policies are strictly that. Hey, it's a policy, but you got to be able to adjust. But if you don't have a standard that you stick by, that's when you make mistakes. When you start deviating away from your process, that's when you start missing things. That's when you start missing dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Yeah. So you put something in place, you kind of work through that, and then you adjust as you need be. And you have to adjust with the on time, with the retailer online retailer. How can you compete against them? You got to tell people, I'm here for you. I'm not going away. You're not buying from a site. I have a brick and mortar dealership. I'm going to be here for you. If you got a problem, come and see me. Everybody pays, everybody pays basically the same thing for cars. It's how you recondition them and how you stand behind them. It's going to separate you.
How would you recommend standing out as a new dealer online? Like, I'm looking to establish myself as a new dealer in the state of Colorado. What advice would you give a young dealer to standing out among the competition?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question. I mean, is this an industry that you jump in blindly? I used to say, no, it's not. You got to have some experience. That's pink. There are people that they're able to get in. They have different ideas on how to do stuff. And I've seen a lot of no experienced people become very, very successful. And again, it all comes down to hard work.
We typically see a lot of guys come out of a franchise environment and go into the independent world, because that's where they typically retire to, because it's a laid back lifestyle. It's freedom. They're not chained to the desk as they are in a franchise world. Do y'all see that in the state of Colorado?
Well, I think you couldn't be farther from the truth, because you are chained. I don't care what business you go into. You're the first one in and the last one out. if you're going to be successful until you get it up and running. And yes, you're right. Though a lot of people come in thinking, man, this is easy, straight. I'm going to retire here. Next thing you know, you're washing the car, you're buying the car, you're doing the title work and taking it to the DMV. You're paying it, you're running the auctions with a check and paying for it. And that's what's changed a lot in this business. When I first started out wholesaling, you had time to pay for that title you bought, right? You bought it 1 week. When you went back there the next week, you brought a check, right? Now you're not taking that car off the auction's lot without paying for it. And they don't have a title for 30 days. So it's cash intensive. And you've got to be able to have, what's your business plan? That's the one thing about car rental. We have, how do I say this? In some states, you can fog a mirror and get a dealer's license, right? Car rental, you have to meet the financials. You got to meet the credit criteria. You have to have a business plan in, and it takes 6 to 12 weeks to get approved. I mean, it's a process where they go through and they look at everything because they want you to be successful, and that's what we do. So, our pre-licensing class is an 8-hour class. There's quizzes. Then you take a test at the end of the day if you're not already re-licensed. You got to get an 85% on, and it's not the same test. They have a bank of 300 questions, and so I could have 22 students that day, and all 22 students are taking a different test, right? They're not all getting asked the same questions. There are different variations of it, and so they want you to be knowledgeable about it. And you kind of go, isn't it kind of overkill for the salesperson? They have to know all this stuff because they take the same test, whether you're a salesperson or a dealer. You take the same test because they want you to be aware. Our pre-licensing class was developed 13 years ago with our association and the investigators because they were finding out people were making mistakes, not on purpose, but because they didn't understand a law or they didn't understand a regulation change or there was a rule. And so, they wanted to educate them. So they made this in statute that you have to take this course and that we have to teach it because we're in the business, and it's not just like, some states you can go to and a teacher can just teaches it out of the book. Well, they're not giving any real experience to it. I've been blessed because, like I said, I took this over when our guy retired. Todd retired just last year. NIADA gave me my plaque for the executive of the year after only 2.5 years, and I felt pretty honored of that, not just because of what we do at the association, because it's not me who won the award. Believe me, I am just a piece of the puzzle. It's because of my office personnel, it's because of my board, and it says a lot about our dealers in the state who buy into looking for us in what we do. And my predecessor won the award too, and he passed away earlier this year, and it was good for him to see that. And I said, hey, you taught me well. I'm following in your footsteps. So
Awesome.
it was pretty good. It was pretty special.
Well, listen, David, our listeners and viewers, they're not going to be too surprised to see that you have won the NIADA Executive of the Year Award over at the Accelerate 23 conference there in Vegas. I think it stands to reason the wisdom and the history and obviously the operational acumen that you demonstrate. That's no surprise. So kudos and congratulations on behalf of our team and this podcast. You're clearly doing a great job. Now, I've heard you say, throughout the podcast, I've heard you mention storyteller a handful of times. You've mentioned the word relationship no less than a dozen times. You talked about getting involved, being with your community, your integrity, doing what you say you're going to do. Tell me a little bit about how you actually practice that community service, the involvement that you have, all the things that you do as an organization going forward. I know you've got something special coming up, but really drive that point home with what you got coming here.
Well, again, car dealers, I think, in my opinion, they're some of the most generous people there are. right? I mean, we'll ask you for that extra $100, but then the kid who comes in off the street and they need money for their baseball team or volleyball team, we're like, yeah, okay, let me hear your story, kid. Okay, I like it. Yeah, here's a check. This year we're celebrating a decade of our used car dealers charity fund of Colorado, and we developed that in a committee meeting. When I was president of this association, there was two other dealers, Stan Martin and Dean Gunter, and we were just kind of tossing around ideas. What can we do to show people, the generosity that we do? Let's do a charity. Dean came up with, let's do a charity gala. It'll be a night where we get together, we raise money, and everybody can kind of combine their charitable efforts here. And I'm happy to say that failed, because the gala the charity gala did fail. The event is huge. We expect to have between 500 and 600 people this Saturday, November 18th, for the event. But the dealers not giving anywhere else, they're still part of their community. They're still raising money and donating to help people in the community. And like I said, it's going to be a decade. The first year we raised $105,000 that evening. Our biggest year was $515,000.
Wow.
And that's all done from the independent dealers and friends of our industry. We have one dealer that has donated either a car or a motorcycle, like a Harley or something, for about the last 8 years, 7-8 years. And he just gives every year. This year, it's Mike Wilden with Red's Auto and Truck. He's donating a 73 Challenger RT clone with 17,000 miles on it. We have another dealer that's doing a 99 Oldsmobile Bravada pace car, Indy pace car. It was a #1 car in the production line. And then we have another dealer giving an 81 Jaguar convertible. Plus we got trips, we got sports memorabilia, and we'll auction that off. We do a live auction, we do a silent auction, then a live auction. And then when we get done with the auction, after we've raised all this money and sold all these goods inside the banquet hall, we will do a paddle race. And this year, it's for a camp, Camp Wapiapa, and it's a camp for children with pediatric cancer. And they take their siblings and the kids, and they take them for this camp. And last year we raised $76,000 for Angels of American Fallen, which had to do with military people who committed suicide and helping their kids, because about 80% of them follow their parents because that's their hero. The year before, we did $135,000 for another children's disease called the butterfly fly. Their skin doesn't stay attached. It's a pretty horrific disease. We raised $135,000 for them that night. And so, we're hoping that we have a big event also this year that's shaping up to be it. We've got people that are coming in from across the country. Jeff Barton, the CEO for NIADA, he'll be out here. Wendy from Ohio will be out here. We have some other people that come in. We've had the executive director from Virginia and California. They've traveled and seen what we do. It's pretty special. It's a pretty special night, giving back to the community, because all the money stays in the community. We gave out $2,500 scholarships last year. It just all goes back out. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That's very, very cool. Chris, you want to ask a final question?
Well, I mean, I guess the last question is, what do you want to be known for, David? Like out there in the automotive industry.
What do I want to be known, or what do I want Colorado to be known for? I want Colorado to be known for
your organization. What do you want to be known for?
Setting an example, being a leader, being involved. It takes everybody, and it takes every dealer right? I mean, there shouldn't be a dealer in the country that doesn't belong to their state association, because we have a louder voice when we speak together. And that really was the vision. I think that, when they started doing the Washington trip, I started lobbying out there. Sean Peterson was he was ahead of that back then. Steve Jordan. I mean, that was their vision. They wanted us to have a voice out there. And, we were out there this year, and we got into 9 legislators' offices one day. We sat down with them, we talked to them about the issues, and just being an advocate. I mean, we all have to work together to help each other succeed. I don't care if you're selling 5 cars or 500 cars a month. In my association, you mean the same to me. And that's the way all of our employees look at it. We're here to help you. We're here to help keep you compliant. And I think that's how every state association is. There are people who are devoted to making you a success. And the only way we can make you a success is you got to listen. You got to come to the classes. You got to check things online. We change our website up all the time, CIADA.org. We are the original CIADA. Carolinas, they took our name too, but I couldn't be prouder to be associated with John Brown and those guys over there. They're great. It's a great organization, as is every association. It's important. It's important that we work together and we help each other out. So
it sounds like your organization with the penetration that you have in your independent dealers out there, y'all do a phenomenal job of supporting and keeping everyone up to date with the regulations. And there's so much like in the automotive industry to stay up to date on. And that's what a lot of, I think people new to the industry don't realize. Like, you've got to be plugged in and you've got to have that resource to go to, that go-to resource. So kudos to you for the job well done.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And it's not me. It's like I said, I've got great employees, and I've got a great board, and together we have great dealers out here in Colorado. We all try to help each other. So.
Well, David, thank you. On behalf of Reputation Sensei by Digital Media Nation and the Sensei Playbook podcast, our entire team would like to express sincere gratitude for you coming on our show. There is absolutely no doubt that the dealers in Colorado and all over are in really well capable hands with you at the helm. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, David.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
That's all for this episode of the Sensei Playbook. May these strategies help you build a powerful business roadmap and dominate the online marketplace right now. Be sure not to miss another episode jam-packed with valuable advice from our marketing martial artists, Bill and Chris, by subscribing to the podcast at podcast.reputationsensei.com. Don't forget to share with your friends and fellow entrepreneurs who also aspire for massive business success. Thank you for listening. Until next time.